Hey guys, so we're going to pick up where we left off last time. Let me select the share screen so that we can get back to T.S. Eliot. Okay, so this is the file I had open last. I'm going to scroll down to the proper section. Okay, this is where we left off. So just as a quick review, a quick takeaway, this list here includes some of the major allusions that T.S. Eliot will use in the full poem. Of this list up here, the last two I will not be covering extensively. I may mention them if it comes to mind at that point. But for the most part, do remember Hamlet is a major influence on the theme, on the character, on the intentions of the full work. There are many biblical allusions throughout the piece. The most important ones are at the end. Again, I'll point those out. Michelangelo pops up at the beginning. He's a major influence on the work. And likewise, so is Dante's Inferno, which we will address today. The use of these allusions and the manner in which Eliot combines them with the work is called intertextuality. Taking something from classical literature, putting it into modern literature, and making it something new. Okay. The more you read Eliot, the more you read the poem of Prufrock, the more you'll understand and recognize these concepts. One quick thing that I forgot to mention last time. The full title of the poem is The Love Song of J.F. Prufrock. Because the last name Prufrock is a made-up name, no one in the world has the name Prufrock. You can refer to the poem as simply Prufrock. Okay, the critics have agreed just by saying Prufrock, everyone knows what you mean. What I do recommend, however, if you're writing a paper on this material, give the full title at least once, and then for the rest of the paper, just say Prufrock. So for timing, I will refer to it simply as the last name of the protagonist. Okay, I won't use the full title from this point forward. Okay, having said that, what I have out here on the website, let me make it bigger. Okay. Down here under Modernism, it's under the title Modernism, it says demo poem in full with annotations. This is something I found online just recently. It's the full poem, again, like I showed you before, but in this case, what they've done, some of the lines, you'll note, are links, and then they give you some quick insight about that line. Okay, so these all agree with what I'm going to tell you for the most part. If there's any changes, you'll note them. This is a nice handy dandy little site. The reason I do like to recommend it is because the lines are numbered for you. Okay, so whenever you're referring to this poem in any essay, you have to give me line count because of its length. It is 131 lines. Okay. So this is a good secondary resource if you want to double check without having to sit through a whole lecture. There's some quick items here. Having said that, now this next link, what this is providing you is the poem broken down by sections. Okay, each page, for the most part, will just be a stanza. On occasion, if they're short enough, I have 2 stanzas per page. Okay? So, I believe that's enough intro for us. We can begin. Okay, so again, this is the full title right here. Notice I have in dark blue, in bold, Love Song. So just starting with the title, just the full title. We got like a few minutes just about the full title. Remember, modernism is all about defying expectations. When you see this title, if we were face to face, normally I'd ask the question, when you hear the term love song, what do you expect? Typically the answers you get are, it's all about love, happiness, Valentine's Day, Cupid, red hearts, springtime, February. Those are the typical answers you get. So again, this is modernist. He's going to defy expectations. Prufrock, is going to be providing you his song about love. And as a result, it's going to defy all your expectations. Okay. So like I have right here on the side, the poem's title is setting you up to hear something along the lines of optimism, happiness, a man and a woman in a garden holding hands, smiling sweetly at each other. Maytime. Okay. The epigraph, which is this stanza here, will break down all expectations in more than one way. So, the first major way that this defies expectation, notice it's not in English. It's in Italian. Not many people, not the average status quo, know how to read Italian. There are a few who are bilingual. There are some who know multi-language. If you have a Spanish language history, you can sort of read and hear and comprehend Italian. But for the most part, the average person has no clue what this little stanza is about. So in that sense, immediately, right away, Eliot, the poet, is showing a shift, a major shift away towards a modernistic approach. The word epigraph itself, when you have the word epigraph, okay, an epigraph is a line or a stanza or a full poem that a poet or a novelist want to use as a reference within their work. It is not the poet's words. It's not anything they have constructed themselves. They are quoting somebody. In this case, notice Eliot doesn't tell you who he's quoting. This is the first example of intertextuality. He has taken a stanza from Dante's Inferno and inserted it as his introduction stanza. It doesn't count as his poem, so there are no line numbers here. So just as a quick reference, I'm going to skip ahead to page 2 for a second. Notice I got the page numbers here. This is the official beginning of the poem. This is just an intro stanza. So, we've been presented with a complex situation. you don't know what it says. But it is a major clue about the theme of the whole poem. Okay. So what is going to happen in English? Here it is. The material here is a quote from Dante's Inferno, which I just told you, which is the first book of his classic epic, The Divine Comedy. The Inferno, if you remember from me mentioning this in class, the Inferno is about hell. So having known, he's using Dante's Inferno as an opening quote for his love song, you know something weird is going to happen. The immediate quick answer that I typically get when, again, I ask questions to a live class, I'll say, what's the connection here? And people often, after a few minutes of stumbling around, somebody will say, love is hell. And that's basically what this poem's all about. Love is hell, according to Prufrock. So Prufrock's song is going to be hellish. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be bitter. It's going to be pessimistic. He's an unhappy man, and this is his story. Notice we haven't even read the poem yet. Okay. And I'm maybe halfway finished with the whole importance of the epigraph. When you read the epigraph, if you have a translation or you can read Italian, I took this translation off from online, but basically it's right here. So, this is what the Italian states. If I thought my answer was to someone who might return to the world, this flame would move no more. But since from this depth it never happened that anyone alive returned, if I hear right, without fear of infamy, I'll answer you. Okay. Let that sink into your brain for a second. You're all looking at me like saying, what is he talking about? Does this say anything about love? No. There's no immediate connection. But if you're well read, understand the classics, know about Dante's Inferno, you can piece this together and see how this is a major part of the poem, how this will become a major theme within the poem. Okay. So, looking at Dante's Inferno, let's go back in history. In the 1300s, when Chaucer, remember him, when Chaucer was writing his Canterbury Tales, it is based partly off of the work of Dante's Inferno. If you remember, I told you that in class. In Dante's Inferno, it is written in the Italian vernacular, so the average Italian could understand it. It is a story of a poet who's named Dante, who's having a bad dream, let's say. He finds himself trapped in hell, and he's wandering from the open mouth of hell, the entranceway. He can't go backwards, in other words, and flee hell, because there's a monster sitting right here at the entranceway. So at the entranceway, he has to go into hell and go through hell in order to get out of it. Okay? So, using a mythic lens, you've got immediate important material that could write a great paper. Using a psychoanalytical lens, again, Look at the symbols being thrown at you. An individual is going through hell, a personal hell, and he's trying to overcome it. Okay, so that's a basic understanding of the Inferno. So while Dante, the character, is wandering through these levels of hell, each time he goes down a new level into stronger misery and souls being punished more hideously. At one point he's on the 7th level, and everybody there is in fire, a living fire. Their soul is continually burning. And what happened here, these souls are trapped in eternal flame because of fraudulent counsel. They gave bad advice. They gave advice that gave them advantages but harmed the other party. Okay? So, in a sense, it's a lie. They lied to their own advantage, and it caused great harm to someone else. The person who is stating this is one of the souls. So remember, Dante's going through this hell. He's a living mortal. He's not a sinner. So as he's going through hell, in order to pass the time, he's talking to these ghosts, these souls, these tormented sinners, and asking them, what did they do to get into hell? What did they do to be tortured like this? This is the response from one of the souls. It's in first person. So remember, in the English form over here, I, that's the ghost saying, basically, Dante, I will respond to your question. I am willing to give you the answer. I will give you the answer because I know no one can leave hell and no one can go back to the living world and tell them why I am in hell. So in other words, the ghost, the I voice, is confessing to Dante why he's in hell. And he's not worried about the consequences because Dante technically can't get out to tell living souls, living people, why this character is trapped in hell. Do you get the joke? Basically, Dante gets out of hell and tells everyone, gossips about the reason why this character is in hell. Okay? So, as I put down here, the speaker's name is Count Guido, and he basically tells Dante, no one can get out of hell, so here's my answer of why I am here. I'll answer you. Okay, so combining the epigraph with the title, you can see now, this is the whole poem is going to be based off of classical literature allusions. You're going to have a hellish scene, a sinner's in torment. In this case, the ghost ties to Prufrock. Prufrock himself is going to be shown as a sinner in torment. And this torment is all about love. So, on Thursday, or next week, if you have other questions, by all means, hit me up on them. This is preparing the reader for line 1. These lines prepare you for line 1. Okay? So at this point, I'm going to stop. This is the epigraph. I'm going to end this recording, and we'll pick up with line 1 in the next take. Okay, so collect your thoughts, collect your questions. I'll be waiting to hear from Gianna. Y'all have a good afternoon, and I will talk to all of you later. Stay safe.